Okay, hey everybody, today we've got Chadicular versus Cornix. Here are their original 3 picks, and here are their bans, Malevolent Presence and the Spore Lord. And here are their picks. So Chad is going to be playing as Nihl'othrakaris, and Cornix is going to be playing as Spirit of Alliance. So let's see how this one shakes out. So Chad's going to go ahead and play Hunter 2, and then Cornix is going to go ahead and match that with a Brute 1 and 2 across from him. Chad goes ahead and plays a Brute 1 over here and a Brute 3 on top. So lots of pressure on Cornix's early stack. He's going to respond with a Hunter 2, and he's also going to go ahead and play the Goblin Elder over here to the side. So now that back row is locked in, Chad has an opportunity to get some good matchups here. So he's going to go ahead and shift over the Hunter 2 and the Brute 3. And Cornix is going to go ahead and turn that Brute into a Soldier using the Goblin Elder to put the Orc Berserker on top and then advance that Hunter 2. So nice pressure from him. On his turn, Chad's going to go ahead and put some pressure on that Elder himself and then put out Under Church Reverend and start cultivating some cultists. And now we see a Brute on top of that Orc Berserker and Spirit of Alliance. So at this point, Cornix can deploy anywhere he wants on the field, which is pretty strong, pretty powerful on top of his own fighters. And Chad's going to go ahead and shift that Hunter 2 over to the side and then put a 1 on top of his Brute 3. And Cornix is going to go ahead and advance up Spirit of Alliance and then put a Hunter 1 on top of that Hunter 2. Chad's going to go ahead and take a trade, or not trade, but get that Brute off the top there and then play a Hunter 2. Really fun position here. I think it's really interesting when you have such an aggressive look from one player and a defensive look from the other. Always exciting to see how that's going to turn out. But Cornix takes out the Reverend and then puts a Hunter 3 on top. So that's a really strong stack right next to Chad's gates. We're going to have to see what happens here. And here we see a cannon shot on that Brute 1 and then a clean trade up with the Hunter 3 killing the Brute 3. So that's some great advantage for Cornix here. We'll have to see how Chad responds. And he does put out Nilly. So now Nilly's got a great opportunity to put a lot of pressure all over the board. But we've got that Orc Berserker right there, and another Brute 3. So all of Cornix's 3s are on the board. Chad's going to go ahead and trade off the Orc Berserker for another one, which is really nice, and then pop off that Brute 2 with that Hunter. Going to Cornix, this is an interesting. He plays Brute Force to get +1 on his Brute to trade up, so that 1 trades for that 2 Hunter. Usually you see Brute Force used to trade with a 3, so that's really interesting. Perhaps it's because he had already lost one of his Brute 2s that he made that choice. In any case, here's a really strong play from Chad as he brings out the Deep Rock Soldier 3 and the Forge Father. And now here, this is a really interesting play. Cornix is going to play Arcane Blast, but what he uses for fodder is Inspiration, Ambush, Master of the Hunt, and Hunter 1. So that is really pricey. You would have thought maybe he would want to keep out Master of the Hunt, but instead he uses Master of the Hunt for fodder for the Arcane Blast. Really interesting decision here. But this is aggressive from Chad as he has Faithful Servant and Forge Father out on the board right now. He's actually going to go ahead and advance that, and then he's going to siege him using Faithful Servant's ability, and then he'll play Retreat to Tunnels. I think he picks 1 or 2, basically however many Cornix had in his hand. So his hand is empty now, so he can't use defend actions to get rid of these fighters. So he's going to go ahead and take the trade of that 3 with the Forge Father and then bring his stack of 3s over to the middle here to put some pressure on Nilly. Because, yeah, like I said, with his hand empty, he has no way to get rid of those things in his gates, except for by trading fighters. Now Chad's going to go ahead and play a Soldier 1 and the Deep Rock Delver into that back corner. And we see that a Brute 2 was sieged off of the top. Now this Hunter 3 is going to go ahead and trade with Nilly to keep Cornix into the game. And then he's going to draw his last card here. So really scary position for him because he does have that 3 out on the board where Chad doesn't have any. But he doesn't have as many pieces on the board to work with, which makes a big difference in the endgame. And especially now that Chad has 3 cultists in his gates to protect him. that's pretty much game over for Cornix. He is going to get rid of the Faithful Servant and advance that up there. But Chad's going to advance the Deep Rock Delver and Ultimate Sacrifice to move the Deep Rock Delver into the gates and kill him at the end of the turn, leaving that Deep Rock Soldier 1 in the gates for the siege for the win. So really nice play by Chad. It really looked like he was behind for a bit of that game there, but he had a great play and positioning to pull it back at the end. Here's the bracket. Chad's going to be playing Bombocalypse for the for the quarterfinal match, and we just have one more round 2 match before we get started with the quarterfinals. So make sure to stick around. Next expansion's coming really soon. Getting super excited for that. And like and subscribe. The current subscriber count is 96. Thanks to everyone who is subscribed, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.